Imagine waking up one morning and the language you've spoken your entire life is gone. The words feel wrong. The grammar feels alien. The sounds coming from people's mouths seem completely foreign. That is not science fiction. That actually happened. Slowly, over centuries, to the English language. Welcome to ChronosX Documentary. Today, we travel through time, through invasion, through war, through survival. This is the history of English. Before we begin, there is one thing you must understand. Languages are not fixed. They are not permanent. Like living organisms, they breathe, they shift, they absorb, and sometimes they transform into something entirely new. That is the story of English. Linguists divide its history into three eras: Old English, 450 to 1100 AD, Middle English, 1100 to 1500 AD, Modern English, 1500 to the present day. Each era was born from conflict. Each one left a permanent mark on the language we speak today. Let us go back to the very beginning. To understand English, you must first understand where it came from. English is a Germanic language. Now, this confuses many people. Does that mean English is simply a form of German? No, it does not. Thousands of years ago, a group of ancient peoples lived in northern Europe, in the lands we now call Scandinavia and northern Germany. These people spoke a single common language, a language that no longer exists. Linguists call it Proto-Germanic. From this one ancient tongue descended English, German, Dutch, Swedish, Danish, Norwegian. They are not the same language. They are cousins, sharing the same ancient blood, but growing in very different directions. So how did a Germanic language end up on the island of Britain? To answer that, we must travel back over 1,500 years. For nearly 4 centuries, Britain was part of the Roman Empire. The Romans arrived in 43 AD under Emperor Claudius, and they did not leave easily. During this long occupation, the native Celtic people of Britain slowly absorbed Latin into their speech. Small things, prefixes, words, sounds, traces of Latin that still survive in modern English today. Then, around 400 AD, the Roman Empire began to collapse. Legions were recalled, soldiers returned home, and Britain was left completely unprotected. The Celtic Britons were on their own, and the world was about to come knocking. With the Romans gone, Germanic tribes saw their opportunity. Over the course of the 5th and 6th centuries, the Angles, the Saxons, the Jutes began crossing the North Sea. This was not one single invasion. It was a slow, relentless migration. The Celtic Britons were pushed westward into what is now Wales, Cornwall, Scotland, and the Germanic settlers spread across the heart of the island. They named it after themselves, the Angles, Angleland, England, and from their language, Old English was born. Old English ruled Britain from the 6th century to around 1100 AD. It gave us the epic poem Beowulf, a tale of heroes, monsters, and ancient glory. But if you heard Old English spoken today, you would not recognize a single word. It sounds nothing like modern English. It is essentially a foreign language. Old English was powerful. Old English was proud, but it was about to face its first great challenge. From the frozen north they came, the Vikings. Beginning in the late 8th century, Norse warriors from Scandinavia began raiding the coastlines of Britain. Those raids became settlements. Those settlements brought a new language, Old Norse. Old Norse and Old English were distant relatives. Both descended from Proto-Germanic, but they had grown far apart. Yet something unexpected happened. Rather than one destroying the other, they merged. Words from Old Norse quietly entered everyday English speech. Words we still use today: egg, dirt, window, skill, knife. And Thursday The fifth day of our week, named after Thor, the Norse god of thunder. Thursday, Thor's Day. Nearly 2,000 modern English words trace back to Old Norse, small in number but used every single day. The Vikings had left their mark, but the greatest transformation in English history was still to come. The year is 1066. A Norman duke named William crosses the English Channel with an army at his back. He defeats the English King Harold at the Battle of Hastings and claims the throne of England for himself. History would call him William the Conqueror. William and his followers spoke Old French, and as the new ruling class of England, French became the language of power. French in the courts, French in the churches, French among the nobility. Old English was pushed down. It became the language of the poor, the farmers, the servants, the laborers. For 2 centuries, England was a nation divided by language, French at the top, English at the bottom. But languages do not stay separated forever. Slowly, they began to mix, and from that mixing came something remarkable. Pairs of words in English that mean almost the same thing, but carry a completely different feeling. Pig, Old English. Pork, French. Cow, Old English. Beef, French. Freedom, Old English. Liberty, French. Weird, Old English. Strange, French. The Old English word, raw, direct, earthly. The French word, refined, elevated, formal. An echo of the social divide that split England in two. Over 7,000 modern English words came from French. This era gave us Middle English, a richer, more complex, more expressive language than anything that had existed before. By the 1500s, English was changing again. More standardized, more widely written, more powerful than ever before. And one man shaped this era more than any other: William Shakespeare. Shakespeare was not merely a playwright, he was a craftsman of language. When the words he needed did not exist, he created them. Words we use today without thinking: lonely, bedroom, eyeball, cold-blooded, uncomfortable, generous, all first written by Shakespeare. Phrases that feel ancient and natural: to break the ice, to wear your heart on your sleeve, to vanish into thin air, all born from a single pen, in a single lifetime. Shakespeare did not just reflect the English language, he built it. Around this same period, something invisible was happening, a transformation no one planned, no one ordered, no one even noticed at the time. It is called the Great Vowel Shift. Between 1400 and 1700, the way English speakers pronounced their vowels changed dramatically. At exactly the same time, scholars were writing down the rules of English spelling for the very first time. But the people recording the spellings and the people changing the pronunciation were not talking to each other. The result is the spelling system we inherited today, frozen in time, capturing sounds that no longer exist. The word knave, once pronounced knava, today we say knave, but we still write it with a K. Night, knife, know, knowledge. Every silent letter is a fossil, a ghost of a pronunciation that vanished centuries ago. If English spelling has ever frustrated you, now you know why. In 1611, a team of over 50 scholars completed one of the most influential documents in the history of the English language, the King James Bible. It was designed to be heard, read aloud in churches across the entire country. Its language was crafted to be powerful, rhythmic, unforgettable. And it worked. Phrases born in that translation never left the English language. By the skin of your teeth, a broken heart, the salt of the earth, a thorn in the flesh. These expressions feel timeless. They feel ancient. But every one of them was carefully written by a group of translators over 400 years ago. The King James Bible shaped not just English vocabulary, but the very rhythm of the language, the way sentences breathe, the way ideas carry weight. Its echo is still felt today. As Britain expanded across the globe, the English language traveled with it, to North America, to India, to Africa, to Australia, to the Caribbean. But this was not a one-way journey. As English speakers settled in new lands, they encountered things their language had no words for, and so they borrowed. Pajamas from Hindi and Urdu, trek from Afrikaans, jungle from Sanskrit, chocolate from the Aztec language, typhoon from Arabic and Chinese, bungalow from Hindi. English absorbed words from hundreds of languages across every continent on Earth, and as the language spread, it evolved differently in each place. American English, Australian English, Indian English, Caribbean English, each one distinct, each one alive. The language of a handful of Germanic tribes settling on a small island had become a force spoken by billions of people across the entire world. English has never stopped changing, and it never will. New words enter every year, old words fade and disappear. The language shifts, just as it always has. The English being spoken today, right now, in this very moment, will sound strange and foreign to the people who speak it centuries from now, just as Old English sounds alien to us. That is not a sign of decay. That is a sign of life. English is alive. It breathes, it changes, and its story is far from over. Thank you for watching ChronosX Documentary. If this journey moved you, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the past is closer than you think.